1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 48, which I have nothing clever to say about, but it is our 45th full-length podcast. The first three were test things, so...
Our first special after-hours content one.
Oh, God, that's actually true. Normally we record these Saturday morning. It is currently Friday evening, night for Blue. He has plans tomorrow, so he will not be available to record the podcast. So we are making a special exception just to keep the schedule.
Indeed. Also, that doesn't mean that it's going to be like smutty or anything, or at least no more than, the usual dinosaur tacos.
Yeah. It does mean...
We get on a shirt at some point. That's become like a key integral part of our...
Yeah, considering it's the evening and not breakfast, it does mean that I am drinking beer instead of fruit juice.
And I'm drinking coffee.
God, it's later over there than it is here. I can't drink caffeine that late at night. Keep me up all night. Alright, topics. We have 3 of them.
Yeah.
Blue, you're starting us off.
So, first topic of the day is about kind of things that you see regularly in game design. So, let's say you're playing... You know what, that's a bad example. Anyway, the first few levels of a game are generally the levels that everyone really enjoys from a game. Unless it has an epic ending, like a really good story or something like that. Just purely based on the game mechanics, people enjoy the beginning of a game because it tends to be not standing in a fucking zombie-infested, plague-ridden swamp out in buttfuck Scotland. It's more likely to be, a quaint little town with little sheep on the horizon and, people dancing in the streets for the first few levels. And it looks really nice, and it makes you feel at ease, and that's the part that you remember, in my opinion, that you enjoy the most.
I think it varies from game to game, but yeah, for the most part, I agree.
Sorry. Before this started, I was talking about Crash Bandicoot 3, which I'm sure many of you will have played, or at least heard of, where the first few zones, I think it starts off with like a medieval castle-esque place, and then it's a desert, I want to say, and then I think the third area goes straight downhill with an underwater segment. Oh wait, maybe the underwater. I don't know. There are underwater levels mixed in among them, and no one likes underwater levels in any game. I swear it.
Yeah. Well, it
unless you're playing like Abzu or We Need to Go Deeper, in which case every level's a water level.
So that's why I couldn't finish Subnautica. Like, underwater things in video games freak me out.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's the fact. I'm not freaked out by the drowning aspect of it. It's the fact that game developers want to make things. They think more realistic means more fun. And as we've seen by the fact that we always turn off bloom effects and glare effects.
Yeah.
The same thing with swimming. No one wants to be slowly doggy paddling through the water. Even if you have unlimited breath, it's slow. It's poor for maneuvering. It will frustrate the shit out of you when you accidentally swim into a mine because you can't stop swimming fast enough.
It does. There are exceptions to that rule. Like, one of the games that... So, I think probably the reason that underwater stuff in video games freaks me out so much, it dates back to Mario 64, because I played that game when I was a little kid, and there's a level in that where you dive down and there are these... It's creepy.
It's a shipwreck.
Yeah, it's creepy, it's dark, and then there are these holes in the wall, and if you swim too close to them, these giant eels pop out and kill you. Yeah, that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. But other games that have done that, but that one's like what you're saying. It had kind of slow and methodical movement mechanics. But there are games that have gotten it right. One that I played more recently, Mario Odyssey. Like, you throw your hat in a fish, and suddenly you're a fish, and you can glide through the water, and it doesn't make everything dark and murky. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask did it pretty good, because you can turn into a Zora, one of the fish people, and they got fins and stuff, and you can rocket through the water. So there are games that have done it well, but yes, in most games they go for that realistic water effect, and it's shit.
Don't get me wrong, that is still realistic, because a fish would have that level of maneuverability. I'm just saying, the moment you cut the player's speed in half when they're 3 or 4 stages into the game, it's gonna get boring, and they're not gonna enjoy it, and it's not gonna make them want to play that level again.
I'm thinking.
I know, especially the most frustrating thing, again, bringing it back to Crash Bandicoot, is that all the levels also had time trials and hidden gems and stuff. So you had to, I think, hit all the boxes. That was it, to get a special gem. As well. And there's all these time pressures. And time pressure when you're at half speed is even worse. I'd rather be full speed and it be harder than, because I feel like I'm failing when I'm just moving normally.
There are games where I'm trying to think of this. There was some game I was playing, and I found that when I went slower, it wasn't anything recent. It was in Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Right.
Like, once I learned to play on Expert, and you go back to the lower levels, everything moves slower and stuff like that. And you'd think that would make it easier, but I found myself screwing up because I had so much more time to think, so much more time to anticipate, and I wasn't just relying on... When I was relying on reflexes, I was like, oh, I got this.
You just found an easy rhythm where... exactly the same with me. When I used to love Guitar Hero World Tour on DS. I was a fucking master at that game. There was one level that I never actually managed to finish, and that was the hardest difficulty, and it was this riff. It was a single riff, which, as far as I'm concerned, is fucking impossible for anyone who isn't a world championship of those games. Anyway, once you go onto Expert, I absolutely agree. When you go back to the early ones, being okay, I want to 100% ace these songs with no mistakes, it just becomes significantly harder.
Yeah. And you people listening can't see, but I just pulled out a Rock Band controller. And now I'm just fiddling with it while Blue's talking. But, yeah. It applies to other things, too. Like, you've seen this, when we play Valorant and stuff. If I, wait and anticipate enemies coming around, I tend to fuck up. But when I just react and, do, a quick fire or something like that, I have a much better chance of actually, hitting my target.
That's the thing, actually. With first-person shooters, they have kind of the opposite problem. They're not doing the same thing every single time like a lot of platformers are doing with just the set design. Valorant, CSGO, Battlefield, Call of Duty, they've all got different ways in which a gun can fire. I know that sounds stupid to people who don't play first-person shooters, but, for example, in Battlefield, if you're shooting over a long distance, the bullet naturally drops, as it would in real life. But in Call of Duty and CSGO, and I think in Valorant as well, there's no bullet drop at all. They also have different spray patterns, so if you're holding down the trigger, then they will shoot in patterns, but each game has a different pattern for all of their guns. And even though most of the guns are exactly the same, the difference between between CSGO and Valorant guns, they're exactly the same guns. CSGO's got a few more, but they are the same guns, but they fire completely differently.
They fire, the sniper rifle is the most pronounced example of this. Because when you fire the... oh god, what the hell am I trying to say? When you fire the op, if you've been moving a split second before you fire it, it just doesn't... it's completely off. You have to wait, stand still for a while, and then it's accurate. Whereas the CS:GO one, on CS:GO when you stop and then it's done. I was trying to remember a quote from Zero Punctuation, which is why I was typing a little bit there. I was trying to look it up, but he had a point that he made about Mario games in particular during one of his reviews, that they all kind of follow the exact same pattern, and he made a rhythm out of it. It was Grassland.
Yeah.
It was like Grassland, Iceland, something Fireworld Boss, and it's like they follow the same. It's like
Yeah, they do. Same pattern.
the same worlds, because Mario, you have like the grassland world, and then you have the desert world, and then you have the ice world, and then you have the fire world, and then you fight Bowser. Then the game's over.
Yeah.
But there are certain tropes, and some games are more guilty of it than others.
I was about to say, but then I guess Mario Galaxy kind of broke that trend, but I don't think they did actually, because I think it was still like desert planet, ice planet, a bit of space in between, and then I don't know. But yeah, no. Finishing the first person shooter thing. Another thing that's different between the guns is that in Call of Duty, if you're running, I'm pretty sure the guns are still 100% accurate. In pretty much any other first-person shooter, you have to stop moving if you want to shoot accurately.
Yeah, Call of Duty is much more about like you basically just don't move. Or so you don't stop moving.
Stop moving.
You get a little bit of a increased accuracy at distance, but especially at close to mid-range, most of the guns work just fine.
Oh, as the resident expert, what if you're adding Halo into this? What would the gunplay be like in Halo?
Halo's guns don't change at all if you're moving, but
Okay,
they
have bullet drop.
No. Well, yeah, no, they have no bullet drop.
Okay, so Halo's the same as COD, really.
Not the later Halos, definitely. They started to copy COD more and more, but no, the bullets have a bit of a spread and a pattern the further out you go. They're also not hit scan. The bullets have velocity. So, like, for instance, they don't have bullet drop off, but there's a delay. So if like you have a little bit more time to move, essentially.
Do you want to explain hit scan to the viewers?
Oh yeah, you probably should.
Okay, so hit scan is essentially if the game has hit scan, then the moment someone pulls a trigger, it immediately, imagine it just like pauses the game and it draws a line between the barrel and wherever it's shooting.
Yeah.
And if it's where it's shooting has a player between it, that player gets hit.
Yeah, it's like a laser pointer
not,
as opposed to an actual bullet.
Exactly, but you can't see any laser. It just gives the impression like that. If it's not hit scan, it means that the bullet will actually have a certain amount of time before between the bullet leaving the gun and hitting the person, so he could move out of the way.
Yeah. So if I'm shooting somebody at like, I don't know, 200 meters or so, there's going to be a split second or so time difference between me firing the gun and it actually hitting my target downrange. So there's a little bit of leeway in terms of moving. So you actually have to lead your targets when you're firing at long distances in the earlier Halo games. The later Halo games, like Halo 4 and 5, they implemented hit scan weapons and it sucks.
I think hit scan is good for close combat engagements, but when it comes to games like Battlefield, where like there's a fucking art to sniping in Battlefield, and my experience is mostly in Battlefield Bad Company 2, which granted is pretty damn old at this point, but how amazing it felt when you're a sniper up on a hill like 500 meters from the battle, not that far, 200 meters from the battle, and you had to aim above their heads, and then you had to wait for the perfect moment when they stop moving and then fire. There's something a lot more satisfying than just put cursor over a person's head. Like, you had to judge the distance.
Well, that was why we had so much fun with Sniper Elite.
Yeah. When we, like, turned off all the easy man mode stuff.
Yeah, we put it on the elite mode, so we had to hold our breaths between shots. We couldn't...
There was wind.
Yeah, we didn't have distance measurements or anything like that. All the reticules were turned off. So we were playing it on hard. That was a lot of fun.
It was. Now, granted, we were absolutely shit. Because we had no assistance. And we were trying to have fun. We weren't trying to be like, alright, at the third strike of the clock, we both fire. And then the sounds of them hitting their heads together with the bullet will sound like a doorbell.
The way we ended up playing was we'd get a few really good sniper shots off, but we wouldn't try to mask the noise at all. And so then it would alert everybody, and then it was just, whatever. Pull out the submachine guns and let's go.
It was basically who's the first person to get a kill, so it doesn't matter, like, the neatness didn't ever matter. when they started flooding to the German garrison started flooding towards us, and we had our pistols, which were more accurate than our sniper rifles.
Oh my god! Well, yeah, that game is a ton of fun though, and it's very satisfying when you get like a perfect shot off.
Unless and then the enemy snipers appear and show us how to really play the game.
God,
we spent like 10 reloads trying to kill one sniper.
Oh god, we have gotten so far away from where this topic started.
No, I think it's. I mean, it was about scenery originally, but it was always kind of about the kind of tropes
in games, yeah,
that carried over or not carried over
between, across the ages. Was there anything else you want to say on that, or do we want to move on?
I'm happy to move on to your itching to talk about.
I know, and this is such a non sequitur compared to what we just talked about. This was something that have been thinking about. It should be clear from things I've said on this podcast that I am a massive history buff. I've ever since I was able to read. I've been reading history books and stuff. It's just always been a fascination to me.
Since you were a young warthog.
Since I was a young warthog. Oh God, now Disney songs are gonna be stuck in my head. So
that's how I managed to switch it to a topic that I understand.
So the thing I was thinking of, I've heard the phrase before, people say this a lot, history repeats itself. And they kind of take it as this definitive adage. It's the classic example is you don't invade Russia in the winter because the Swedes tried it, the Germans tried it, and Napoleon tried it. All of them failed and ended in disaster. Mm-hmm. But that's only from one perspective. They have been invaded over land in winter before by other conquerors. I mean, the Mongols did it, and they conquered them. Afghanistan's another example.
No, the Mongols were kind of part of Russia, to be fair.
Not at the time. When the place that...
It was a similar climate.
Yeah, but they were coming from the other direction. You're right. They were coming from the Far East, as it were. But my point still stands. It comes back to where I'm going with this, is that statements like that tend to be from... one historical perspective. So from the perspective of Europe, yes, marching into Russia and trying to conquer them in the winter is a horrible idea. But if you to look at it from an Asian perspective, no, it actually might work. Same thing. Afghanistan was the other example I was thinking of. That's just one example. There's a quote from Mark Twain that I really like. It's history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. And I think that's a more accurate way of putting it. Another one that you hear a lot these days is that, there are no big wars anymore, or there can't be another one, or something like that. Which isn't true. I mean, if you look at the history of if you look at recorded history in general, we're living in an aberration right now. This is extremely odd that there hasn't been any sort of war between major powers in decades. Or then you look at the idea that right now, the preeminent way that countries interact with each other is through the ocean. That's not normally historically for the last 3,000 years, it's been over land, and China and the Middle East have been the hubs of international trade. Now it's the Pacific Ocean, but that's a weird thing. It's not normal.
I think, at least for the time being, because of the invention of, nuclear armaments, I think there will still be wars. I mean, there's still plenty of wars going on in the world right now.
True.
But they're all wars where at least one of the sides doesn't have nukes.
Yeah.
I feel like all the countries at this point know that if you're attacking a country that has nukes, then you have no chance of taking the country. But you can still fight. It's like two guys turning up to a pub. They're both armed with guns, and they look at each other right, I'm gonna fucking fight you. We both put our guns down on the table and we just fight each other with fists.
that was what I was about to bring up. Is I think if there's going to be another war between major powers, that's how it'll have to happen. There's got to be some kind of gentleman's agreement that we don't use these. Sort of like what happened between Hitler and Churchill in World War II. Both of them had the capabilities of gassing a huge chunk of their population, but like they both knew, like Hitler.
I mean, Hitler kind of did.
Okay, yes, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about military use.
Battlefield. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So to try and break England, at one point, Hitler was threatening to use V-2 rockets to gas bomb London, which would have wiped out a huge chunk of the population. But Churchill came back and said, yeah, if you do that, we have air superiority over Berlin right now. We're gas bombing 2 of your cities if you hit London. And they both kind of realized that it was like, okay, we'll put the gas away. We'll just fight this with bullets.
To be fair, I'm like, why then do you think when Badman knew that he was not going to win, do you think there was a particular reason why he didn't or couldn't then be like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway?
Yeah, go out with
got
everything.
Nothing left to lose.
Guns blazing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could just be that it had gone on so long that they didn't have logistically the capability of doing it anymore. Like by the time it got that bad, they had lost their capabilities of effectively using that strategy. Or maybe it was just one of those things that like
an ounce of humanity.
Yeah, like an ounce of humanity at the end, just like a. I mean, it ends with him, shooting himself in the head. So.
Yeah.
Kind of, maybe all the fight was out of him. Sorry, that was a really dark one.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of didn't help. But like,
here,
just backing up before the World War II bit.
So okay, which one?
The Russia? Oh wait, no, we were talking about nukes, and then
yeah. So I was the war one. I was also talking about how historically, like, international trade, international interactions were land-based. Now they're mostly sea-based because we have these giant cargo tankers and stuff like that.
I know you said land, but in my head it was one of those things where I heard LAN, or land-based. So like people in StarCraft 2 fighting for their country. Sorry, go on.
I mean, if that was the case, then,
you'd be a soldier.
No, I would be, but South Korea would be like the world hegemon.
That's true. South Korea just takes over America.
What will you do? Our battle cruisers are warping into Washington.
And there's me like, I like Stardew Valley.
But that is an interesting thing to think about, because China's like a really big player these days, and that's been the norm throughout history. Like, they were the global superpower for nearly 3,000 years. And it's only been in the last century and a half that they weren't. And it's
why do you think that's because of?
It's because they went into isolation. I want to say it was the Qing dynasty, Qin King. I don't know how to pronounce it. Qing. They decided that because the whole world had to come to them, that they didn't need to explore or expand. They were perfect. They were the middle of the world. And that backfired horribly when they tried to go up against the British Empire, and you guys used, like, steam-powered gunboats. And we're just like, yeah, f*** off, we win. And that was... The Chinese, in like, their own historical text in modern-day China, they refer to the last century as the century of humiliation.
Right.
Because it's the only century in recorded history, really, where they haven't been one of the preeminent world powers. And they've come back to it now.
Yeah. I mean, are they even... Is it still a dynasty in China?
No, well, no. It's communist.
It's like a republic. Yeah.
No, it's communist still. It's a one-party state with the Chinese Communist Party as the, de facto ruling leadership. They dictate everything throughout the rest of the country. It's not inherited. Like, I can't remember who the last guy was, but the guy who's in charge now he was a party, like his family was a party, he was a party member, rose up through the ranks, and then, was elected. They use the same structure as the Soviet Union, so it's like his official title is like, chairman or general secretary or something like that. The communists are obsessed with using like very, very mundane titles for their leaders.
Yeah, I mean, Chairman Mao doesn't sound so bad as, horrible dictator that murdered so many people.
Yeah.
Sounds more like the person who leads the local council meetings, really.
Even, like, I feel like that's a thing with a lot of authoritarian regimes. They tend to use very lackluster... even, going back to World War II, Mr. Badman there, his title was Der Führer, which just means the leader.
Yeah. Or Der Kaiser.
Yeah. Well, that means king, literally. And it derives from Caesar. Like Tsar.
I think it actually came from before Caesar, but I could be wrong.
No, it comes from... Like, so, after the Roman Empire fell, pretty much everywhere in Europe wanted to be the next Rome. And so, Germany adopted the term Kaiser, and the Tsar in Russia, and... I don't remember. France, I think they had something similar, but I can't remember what it was called because it's France and I don't care. All right.
I'm surprised you're going into French history.
To be fair, for as much shit as I give France, for most of their medieval history, they were like the Chad of Europe. Like they were fucking kicking ass all over the place.
The Chad of Europe.
The Chad. Oh god. Okay, I'm kind of where I think I've talked about. I've gotten it out of my system now. We can go back to talking about video games.
Well, actually, not video games. After I got off call with you last night, I was like, oh fuck it, I'll watch that video of the little podcast segment you did with your dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
Oh, thank you.
The Godfather stuff, oh my god, I can't believe, like, you guys know so many, like, quotes from it, and then your dad is like, yeah, but I've only seen it 15 times, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I get why he knows so many quotes.
Yeah, it's one of my dad's favorite movies. I've seen it, for people who haven't, on the YouTube channel. For Father's Day, I had my laptop and recording equipment with me when I was at home, and I was like, you know what, I want to test out kind of, this in-person chat. Yeah. Can I actually do it? Is it technically viable? And it worked out pretty well. We just talked about The Godfather, which is, like blues.
Goodfellas.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Goodfellas, and there were a couple other movies that showed up in there.
The fucking baseball one.
Oh yeah, Field of Dreams. Yep.
Which I've never seen, obviously, because not American. But yeah, no, there was quite a few interesting points that were brought up. God, what was it? I can't remember. You had a lot of weird facts.
Oh, yeah, trivia about the movie, yeah.
Yeah, did you, look stuff up so you're like...
No, it was...
I can know something that my dad doesn't.
No, it wasn't that. It was years ago when I was watching it with my dad, and... I just, he was asking me who an actor was or something like that, or, what else the guy had been in, because somebody looked familiar, and he was just curious. And so I pulled up IMDb on my phone, and they have a trivia section, and so I was just kind of browsing through that. I didn't look it up specifically for that. That was just stuff I remembered as being kind of, interesting points.
I feel like that's something good if we do, for when we watch a movie for movie night, maybe that would be an interesting page to go to. For any extra little interesting tidbits that we might have missed. Yeah,
the trivia and goofs. There's a few of those in the Godfather that I just really, really liked, yeah.
Yeah. I do remember, though, one of the first things that your dad said was, I don't remember Godfather 3 very much, but then I haven't really watched it that much. I'm like, oh, that's either he knows how bad it is and so he's just avoided it, or he's gotten lucky.
I think he's seen it before, but doesn't like it. I mean, from everything I've heard, it's not a very good... I've never seen it. I've seen 1 and 2.
It's not great. I mean, I remember 1 and 2 quite vividly, and everyone says that, the first one was the best. Second one was, not as good, but still really good. And the third one, just, you don't talk about, but didn't happen.
It's the redheaded stepchild of the group.
Yeah, you got to wonder kind of what happened in the development of it that made the director take the choices that they did.
I think it suffers from the same problem as you know how Indiana Jones, they had Indiana Jones 1, 2, and 3, right? And then decades later they're like, hey, let's do a fourth one with Shia LaBeouf.
Right.
It was the same thing with this one. They made the first two within relatively close proximity of each other. Then you get to number 3 and it's like 10 or 20 years later they decide to go back to it and try again.
I've never seen Indiana Jones.
Have you?
I've never seen one of them.
Really? Okay. The first 3
I've seen a lot of clips of them. Like all of them.
We should watch them sometime because the first 3 are quite good. And the third one has Sean Connery in it.
Sean Connery?
Oh. I want to see some of Sean Connery's old James Bond movies.
Yeah? I was never a big James Bond fan, I don't think. It was a bit too... It was like they're trying to appeal to an adult audience, but with children's jokes. Kind of thing.
It was also a different time.
And then they have sex at the end.
There was a comedian, a Scottish stand-up comedian that I remember listening to years ago, and he had a bit about James Bond, and he was like, oh, my favorite. No, maybe he was Irish. I don't know. Now that I'm doing the accent, my favorite James Bond has always been Sean Connery. I feel like he's the perfect one. This new one, he's all shaved clean. He walks out of the water and he looks like a gay dolphin. But James Bond has always been a hairy man in my mind. Sean Connery would lay shirtless on the bed. The wind would blow across. He'd look like a spider was walking across his chest. I think of that joke whenever I think of Sean Connery as James Bond, just because it caught me so off guard when he said that.
Yeah. Actually, I say that I'm not a massive fan of James Bond. But if I think about it, kind of, John Wick is kind of the new James Bond. Like, he's switched sides, don't get me wrong, he's now an assassin.
There's also...
It's very similar.
Did you ever watch any of the Bourne Identity movies?
No. Jason Bourne.
Yeah, Jason Bourne. So, Bourne Identity is the first one. They did a bunch of them. I don't remember some of the later ones. The first one's really good, and it's another John Wick. Not as over the top as John Wick, but like what?
Very realistic. I'll have you know.
Keanu Reeves.
He's a hell of a man. Also, he's just started. I don't know if it was in Kickstarter or something, but he's made a original comic book.
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah.
And it's already getting a movie and an anime.
Of course
based off of it.
I still love sorry. No, he's actually Cyberpunk. He was in Cyberpunk quite a bit because he's one of the main characters. And the thing is, like, a lot of the times when video games get big name talent like that, the Elder Scrolls series is famous for this. Every time they get big name talent, they like kill him off in 5 minutes because we don't want to pay him or something like that. Like Patrick Stewart shows up in Oblivion and he dies within the first 10 minutes of the game.
The king?
The king, yeah.
Yeah.
But Keanu Reeves he's in Cyberpunk throughout the entire thing. Like he's your main compatriot throughout the entire game. And he's actually like one of the best characters in the game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he is such a lovable actor because of all the stories you hear about. But apparently the anime is about a character, I think it's based off, again, it's like, it looks like John Wick. It's basically John Wick, except I think it's like some kind of superhero that wants to have forever sleep. But he can't. This is me using technical language.
Yeah, technical language appropriate for YouTube.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about the fucking Gestapo already.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, we can't really go much worse than that.
So
is he like immortal or something like that?
I guess so. I've only had a very brief synopsis from a YouTube video, but it sounded like an interesting plot. Apparently, it's not one that's anything legendarily new.
Yeah.
But also be interested to see how they're going to portray this on the big screen in this new culture of PC-ness.
Yeah.
Where someone's trying to forever sleep themselves.
Well, that will be a fun thing to talk about. Well, so segment 2. Oh, I never mentioned at the beginning. Normally I give like a kind of a quick overview of what's coming up in segment 3 at the beginning. I completely forgot. It's a quiz segment this week.
Do we normally do that? I don't think we do.
No, normally I announce it when it's a quiz segment at the beginning of the podcast, and I just didn't.
Okay. Well, I don't want to go too many details away about that.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe we should check that out when it comes out. Talk about that.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I mean, either the anime or the cartoon, or the film or the manga. One of them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Throw a dart at a wall. Pick one. All right. Anything else you want to say? Because we're at the end of segment 1. Because I am psyched for segment 2.
Same.
All right. Good. Done. Blue's making weird faces at me. I'm going to assume that's the end. All right. This is going to be the end of segment 1 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear us again momentarily for segment 2. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We're on segment 2, our media segment, and God damn it, you've got Well, every time I screw up, at least. He shouted Harambe at the end of my countdown, and it screwed me up. Yeah, so we've actually got a couple things to talk about this week. We didn't do movie night again. We're actually going to be doing movie night this Sunday, so it will happen. But no lack of media to talk about. A few weeks back, I talked about the Amazon series Invincible, which is, again, I knew it was based on a comic, and...
You talked about it last week.
A little bit, yeah, but I've been now reading the comic itself. I talked last week about how I had purchased it, but not that I'd kind of gotten into it. So the TV show, like... I thought it had a really great antagonist for the first season, and it kind of... There was this whole dynamic where you knew this one character had secretly done something really horrible, but it wasn't really immediately apparent, and all culminates in this giant battle at the end, and this really, really emotional scene, really intense scene, and then they leave you with a cliffhanger for season 2. Not a cliffhanger, but a whole bunch of hooks that could be coming back.
Unfinished stories.
Yeah, and now that I've been reading the comic, I'm wondering how the hell they're going to keep everything coherent, because they changed... I didn't realize how much they changed. They did some of the standard tropes that they do now. They race and gender swapped a few characters. For the most part, it didn't matter. There was a minor character that can shrink to any size and then get to any size bigger. It's a girl in the TV show. It's a dude in the comic. Again, doesn't matter. It didn't change anything about the character. What? What are you making faces for?
Nothing. No.
Okay, whatever.
I'll tell you after.
There's a few, but yeah, like I said, there's a few things like that. One thing that I noticed that they changed in the TV show, and I honestly do not know how the hell they are going to make this work in the TV show now, having read the comics. So, the main character, he has a love interest, and when I actually watched the TV show, this was somebody that I complained about, because the first and last episode were the original comic book writer was involved with those, and those were probably the 2 strongest episodes in the series. But there's a bunch of filler in the middle, or subplots and stuff like that. And in those episodes, this love interest character comes across as just this really insensitive person, kind of just cold-hearted and selfish and cynical, more cynical. Whereas in the comic books, first of all, again, this character they both race and personality swapped when they went to the TV show, which again. The race swap doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter, the person could have been any background and it wouldn't have made a difference to her character. But the personality swap was the big thing. In the TV shows, she's very standoffish, she's very cynical, and she's a lot more selfish. In the books, or in the comic books, she's a bit more, like, understanding, a bit more compassionate, and I don't know, just a few. There's stuff like that. It doesn't really. I don't want to get too deep into it. But the big thing that I think they really that kind of screwed them over is in the comic book. She doesn't show up until like the 20th issue or something like that. She's an extremely minor character in the first like half of what I've read so far. Like she's a character that doesn't even exist for like the first, I don't know, 5 or 10 issues. And then she's a girl that gives her number to the main character because she thinks he's cute or whatever, and he calls her, and they end up, going out a couple times, and then they end up, becoming a couple, and it goes on, and she eventually figures out that he's a superhero, because at first she thinks he's a drug dealer because he's like always running away and he's never having enough time and everything like that. But that all happens after the major. They rearranged a ton of things from the comic, and some of it made sense, and some of it kind of. I'm curious what they're going to do in season 2, because a ton of major events that happened in the TV show don't happen in the comic until after the finale of the TV show season 1. Like they rearranged a ton of stuff. So in the TV show, the big finale is the big fight between this guy and his superhero dad, who's secretly an alien trying to take over the world, right?
Yeah.
In the comic book, that happens, and then after that, most of the stuff that happened in the filler episodes of the TV show happened. The other thing that like gets screwed, like, so in the comic books, I'm trying to think. There's so many. I'm trying to pin down. Let me look at my notes, because there's so many things they did in the TV show that I liked more. First of all, the actual fight scenes are better in the TV show because you can actually see them. They're animated and it's cool to watch and everything like that. But a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the inter-character dynamics and stuff has been seriously dumbed down in the TV show. Like, I'm surprised reading the comics, like how deep and kind of interesting they can get, because I never read comics as a kid. It was never my thing. Video games, movies, TV shows, but never comics. They were never really. I just read an actual book. But so I always had an image in my head of them being kind of very simplistic and kind of cheesy writing.
Mm-hmm.
But this one has been. I mean, there are bits like that, but for the most part, it's pretty good, like pretty well written, especially the character interactions. Oh, that was the other thing. They made his best friend gay. In the in the TV show, he's gay, and in the comics, he's not.
Does it make much difference?
It actually changes a huge subplot. So one of the main female characters in the comics and in the show too, she she gets screwed over a few times. Like, she at the beginning, she's dating this dude, he cheats on her, and so that kind of breaks up the old superhero team that she was a part of, and she goes to the main character, who's like one of her they've become close friends, and tells him about it, and they kind of have a heart-to-heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes clear to the reader in the comics, and to an extent in the TV show, that she has a thing for him, right? But she, like, it's one of those things where they're always in the wrong place. Like, at first she's with this dude, and then afterwards he's with the other, like the girl that he's dating. And then she goes like, screw this, why am I doing this superhero stuff? I can change atoms around and stuff. I'm gonna go to like some war-torn region of the world or some place where there's famine, and I'm gonna create plenty and help people and stuff like that, like solve droughts and feed the hungry.
At least that's a better ending to them. I mean,
she does
that's a pretty good way of a person going out.
Well, she does it in both the TV show and the book. But the thing is, one of the ways they establish the fact, like her kind of back and forth, is she dates the guy's best friend. She can't exactly do that if he's gay.
Right. I mean, they could gender swap him.
I mean, it'd be kind of hard to do. Season 1's already done now. Like,
But he could go through that process. Although, I don't know, how easy would it be to change? Like, because you don't know what's going on in a super person's body anyway.
well, his best friend isn't a superhero. His best friend isn't a superhero. He's just a normal dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was another thing. Yeah, one of these guys that becomes like their friend at college later. I guess the only story benefit to making the guy gay in the TV show was it gave them an excuse to be at this college before they were in college, because they went to the college so that the gay best friend could hit on this dude.
Right.
Whereas in the books, they're just all in college together and they're all just best friends.
For a superhero story, it sounds like an awful lot of boring drama that you get in every program.
It's not that. Like, I'm focusing on that because that's the stuff they changed. The superhero bits they kept relatively the same. Like,
right.
The same major superhero plot points, the same heroes and villains, they show up in different places. It's only in the interpersonal and inter-character stuff where they made changes, and they're almost all bad.
It sounds like they were trying to add a bit of drama to get a wider audience, so that there's people who would still like it even if they don't like superheroes.
I guess that was the thing they were trying to do. They were going for like more representation, like,
you know, a Twilight-esque thing where people aren't there for the vampires and the werewolves; they're there for the
abs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see. There was
I don't know.
There was a couple other things that they changed. Oh, yeah, they changed some bits of the story, and I think they just changed them so that they could squeeze in stuff that happens much later to happen much earlier. Like, in the TV show, the super dad, the Omni-Man guy, the guy that... He kills the... I think they're called the Guardians of the Globe in this, and they're basically the Justice League. In the comic book, he kills them with barely any effort. Like, he just walks through them, slaughters them, doesn't even get hurt.
Hang on a second.
What?
You said he's come from, like, this other race of people.
Yep.
But you said there's also just superheroes that come from Earth.
Yep.
So, are they, like, a mixture of the two races' genes, or...?
No. So there's... It's basic. Think Justice League, or like just all of DC Comics. So there's like some people are magical, and some people have just like been genetically modified.
Kind of superpower, then, like not the same branch.
Yeah, the main character has his superpowers because he is the child of the alien
the other
guy.
race.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So he got his through
his dad.
Blood,
as
opposed to through the random lottery chance of just being born with superpowers.
Yeah, and the girl that I was talking about, the one that goes off to Africa to like bring food to the hungry and all that, she got hers by government experimentation in utero.
Yep. Okay. Government experimentation. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they gave her
the classic, Deadpool,
Venom.
Well, Venom, I guess, is an alien.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
But yeah, there's just... They made a lot of changes, and some of them I can see why they made them, but I just... Some of the change... Like, a lot of the changes they made to some of the characters in terms of, like, their social interactions, they feel so token. Like, they weren't really needed, they didn't make much sense. It just was like, you know what? We feel like this best friend is gay. Boom. He's gay in the series. It doesn't make
sorry for this. Sorry.
It doesn't really make too much different to the story. It was just they felt like doing it.
Yeah. What are your top 2 superhero origin stories?
From this series,
I was gonna say,
or
just every kind of superhero out there? What are your 2 favorite ways that people have become superheroes? Or supervillains?
Well,
I was going to say top 1, but I thought I've got 2 that I really like.
Top 2. I mean, we'll go with. I mean, the whole single purpose tragic backstory. You know, the Batmans of the world, where like some tragic thing hits
Batman,
them, and they devote their whole life to achieving one single purpose, whether it's an evil purpose or a good purpose. I love that backstory.
Training with Ra's al Ghul on the mountain.
Yeah, and there are villains from comics that follow the same path, but.
And to be fair, he did he was all about training in facing his fears. So I think that is a really good way of getting it. Second one.
Second one is what happens in this story to the main character. The whole just completely normal person who lives a completely normal life, and then suddenly they become like a god among men. Because I think that can make a great hero and a great villain. Because well, one of my favorite versions of that story is where a completely normal person think they're a good, upstanding person, but then they get these abilities, and that extreme power slowly corrupts them until they become a villain just because, like Light from Death Note.
I was about to say that. I was hovering on it. I was going to say that is a great supervillain right there, creations. My top two, which I honestly Death Note should be among them, but like we were talking Venom, that is a cool fucking thing. Like an alien experimentation with its own sentience takes over your body, and you can like chat with it while it like gives you these incredible powers. I think that's really cool. And the favorite superpower, which is not technically a superpower, is still Iron Man 1. Arms manufacturing business gets stranded in the desert, held hostage by terrorists, and then slowly builds like something to actually get himself out of that predicament, which he then adopts into being his own thing, and he furthers it and becomes a force to be reckoned with. That was such a cool movie. Normal man in a super suit.
Iron Man 1 is awesome.
Yeah, because he wasn't just given a suit that his grandpappy made for him. It was like in a terrorist bunker underground in the middle of Al-Qaeda's shit.
That was one of my favorite lines from that movie when his like second in command of the company, the big bald guy, he's yelling at his scientists because they can't figure out how to do the same thing, and he's like, Tony Stark did this in a cave with a bunch of rocks and spare parts.
Yeah,
it's such a good line.
It's not realistic because I mean, how the fuck would terrorists get access to nuclear fission and stuff? But
I think what they said was that they stole the weapons. Like they sold the weapons to
terrorists. Yeah.
Not to the terrorists, to like whatever the local warlord is, who was the legitimate government, and then they, through smuggling and back channels, managed to get their hands on them. Yeah,
that's true. But no, and like the original suit wasn't this shiny red and gold piece of armor. It was like this tinfoil suit with a chain gun strapped to the arm.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, fuck. That was cool.
Alright. I took up a ton of time with that topic, so
that's alright. That's a good topic. Okay, so I have been continuing this week with my watching of Castlevania. I'm going to assume you all just remember what I spoke about last week. The good guy in the story, I'm just going to call the Hunter. He met these nice religious folks who are being prosecuted by the local religion. Did I just say religious folks twice?
You did.
Probably. There's the main church, and then there's like the whisperers who aren't actually religious, they just hand on stories and stuff through word of mouth. So, the demons arrive. They kill, like, all of the main church people. They go into the church. The bishop's in there. He's like, you can't be in here. God, this is God's house. And then the alien demon thing is like, you're the reason that Dracula started... Because this was the same dude that sacrificed Dracula's wife at the beginning of the film all those years before.
Yeah.
And so the demon's like, we're really thankful to you. If it wasn't for you, none of us would be here. He's like, I think he was like, let me give you a kiss, and then he like bites the bishop's head off, kind of thing. It's pretty grim. Yeah, the Castlevania is pretty grim, Jaren. So yes, like a whole bunch of the religious folks get murdered, and the remainders try and track down the hunter and be like, get the people to push him out of the city. But he's like, no, this is the religious folks' fault. And so they end up like stabbing the rest of the church people, which is completely revolting against the church. So he then kind of shows them how to fight back against demons, using assault on weapons, using magic, which is not actually an evil thing, even though they think it is. And the city is saved for that night. He goes down into a crypt with this other chick who's a magician who he picked up along the way. So this is like the party. So it's got the hunter and it's got like the sage. And they fall through this under city, and all these like massive machinery, undercity stuff, and they come across a coffin and they're like, oh shit, maybe it's Dracula. No one knows what Dracula looked like because anyone who's seen Dracula has basically died. And that's where they introduce Alucard, who is the son of Dracula, and is trying to do what his mother wants instead of what his father wants. His mother wants the humans to be forgiven and to just live peacefully.
You know what? I brought up Alucard. I thought Alucard was a character in Castlevania last week, and there he is.
Yep, there he is. And yeah, he's all about like killing his dad to get his mother's wishes through. It also shows us Dracula's War Council. And this is quite interesting because he summons all these vampires from around the globe. And he's got them all in his thing. And he has 2 humans on his War Council. And they go into quite a bit of detail on these 2 humans. One of them was like a slave throughout his life, and I don't know the exact there was some confusing messages. Like I'm not sure, I think he like loved his master, but then like a line later he bit his throat out. So I was very confused about that scene. He was like, I love you, master. And the master was like, I love you too. And that's why I do this. And he kept like whipping the guy. And then the slave turned around.
Love-hate relationship.
It was weird. Anyway, the other guy grew up on a farm. I don't know what the humans did to him that pissed him off so much, but he could basically bring dead animals and people back to life. And we later... So he has, like... In Dracula's castle, he's walking around, he's got this, like, little undead pug following him. It's adorable. Like, they're very much setting the humans up to be the good people, even though they're on Dracula's council. And they're also kind of setting Dracula up to be a good guy as well, because he's like... The only reason he's doing all of this is because the church sacrificed his wife.
Yeah, but didn't he...
When she was trying to help him.
Yeah, I guess they're going for, like, a maybe... nuanced villain, but I mean, considering he went from kill this one town because they killed my wife to kill everyone, that's a bit of a step too far. You kind of lost my sympathy there, buddy.
They do a step back in time where Dracula goes to the pug dude and he's like, I want you to be, I need your help to form an army for me. And the human's like, okay, but I'll only do it if, for a start, it's not full genocide. Like, the last few humans will be humanely kept in, like, a farm-like state. Because, obviously, vampires need humans.
Yeah.
And, also, there wouldn't be, like... It would be a humane culling, as opposed to just savagery. Which it kind of is, but... I don't know. So they do put a lot of character into Dracula. He's got a lot of emotion. He's not this blank slate. He's a very good villain. Because you don't fully hate him. In fact, most of the people in his war council, the vampires, are twats. They're the real villains. They're just like You want them all to feel lots of pain. There's one who's like a vampire. Who's like a Viking vampire. And at the beginning, they're like, all you do is kill them, eat them, and make boats out of them. It's like, I'm a Viking. It's what I do. I make boats out of things. And he's a bit of a stupid, like, asshole.
Bit of an oaf.
Yeah, but now this very smart, intelligent, evil, very evil vampire lady has joined the council and is kind of converting people to her way of thinking. She's whispering in the ears of the human generals. So there's been quite a lot of... I mean, there's also been a lot of stuff happening with Alucard, the Sage, and the Hunter, but the most interesting stuff has been around the War Council. Anyway, the Hunter's gone with his two friendos to his old place of... his old house, which got burnt down when he was a child. And they've gone into the catacombs of it kind of thing, and there's like a library with... it's like a... kind of like a museum of vampire hunters. So Alucard, who's like... so they're all down in it, and the Sage is like, oh my god, looking at the index of it, this is an incredible museum of everything. And like, don't you love it, Alucard? And Alucard's just looking at a shelf filled with vampire skulls. And he's like, this is literally just a museum about ways to kill my people. So, not really.
Yeah, this ain't really my gig.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it for the good guys' perspective. They're just roaming around as their three-man party now. But now we know they have proper weapons to fight the villains of the night.
They even have a vampire to help them out.
They do. Well, I mean, the vampires have humans to help them out. Humans that can bring... Oh, so after the battle, the demon spawns drag the dead bodies, including the Pope that got his head eaten, back to Dracula's castle, and they turn those dead bodies into more demons.
Ghouls. Yeah.
So I don't know if the goodies know about that and whether they're going to start burning the bodies later.
That might be. Yeah. I mean, that's why, fun little historical fact, that's one of the reasons why people would burn bodies in a lot of ancient cultures.
Those zombies.
They might come back.
But the dude brought a Labrador back to life as well. It's kind of cute. Like, the dogs don't turn into inhumane monster demons. They just turn to they just wake up with like half their face missing still, but like they're just happy little doggos.
George is a good boy.
He is. It's adorable.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And you know that the fucking council is evil vampires because they kicked the pub. The pug. They kicked the pug.
I mean, either of those is bad. You don't kick a pub either.
I mean, that would probably hurt your foot.
Oh.
But yeah, that's me up to date on Castlevania so far.
That sounds really
good.
good.
First season. Sorry.
No. How far into the first season are you? Go on.
So I finished the first season because the first season is made up of 4 episodes, which is kind of weird. It feels like they did the first season as like a test run to see whether people would like it or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second season has 8 episodes, so twice as many. I'm on like episode 2 or 3, I think.
Oh, so what you've said so far has actually gone into season 2.
Yes, I've started on it. There's 4 seasons out so far, I think.
Nice.
But yeah.
I like the, I need to look up a picture of the zombie pug. I want to see how cute it is. That was
It's got like an eye missing. It's a little bit grim, but it's also adorable because it's a pug.
Bit of a non sequitur, but that was something that was nice being at home. Got to see my dog again.
Yeah, I've got lots of doggo pictures I was sent.
It's adorable. But yeah, still something you'd recommend, it sounds like.
Hell yeah. I'm very excited to see the next part.
I may have to check it out now. I haven't watched anything like anime-esque in quite a while. Oh!
It's...
Something I forgot to mention when I was talking about Invincible. Another big difference from the comic to the TV show. Like, the TV show, there is a lot of gore. Like, a lot of it. every episode, and not only that, there's a ton of civilian casualties in like every episode. Like there's a whole that doesn't happen so much in the comics. There is gore and there is like blood and guts and things to the same degree that it exists in the TV show, in terms of intensity, but it doesn't happen nearly as often. You can go like, quite a few pages before you ever see any sort of blood or gore, and then when it does happen, it has impact. By the end of the TV show, I was like, yeah, I've seen this a million times. Okay, body horror, let's move on. But like, there's an alien invasion in one bit where in the comic book they invade in Afghanistan, like in the middle of the desert. But in the TV show, they invade in the middle of New York City and they're shooting women and children and civilians and things, and it's like, okay.
It's a lot more shock value.
The comic managed to make them look threatening, like, without doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I just remembered that.
No, I think that's a fair point. Like, if you remove an element of absolutely nowhere is safe, then it's kind of like, well, everyone's fucked then. They could just appear in the middle of the White House and execute everyone. If it's out on, like, a battlefield where they've only got, like, certain gates they can come through or something, then I feel like it leads a lot more attention, so when something does happen in the safe zone, it's a real catastrophe.
And that's the point they made. So the finale of season 1 in the TV show is obviously when his dad reveals his motives to his son, and his son decides, no, I'm not joining you, I'm not doing this with you, I'm going to stop you, and the dad kicks the ever-loving shit out of him. And to prove a point, like, he tears him through cities, like, he throws him through a train, and he becomes... Yeah. That all happens in the comic the exact same way. But because in the comic, there hadn't been a ton of that, like, civilian casualties up till that point, it's a lot more poignant and actually really is a lot more impactful when it happens.
Tell you what, though, I think we'll at some point need to do a Invincible Dad versus Dracula.
Oh, we could. So you're talking about that? What was that? That segment we tried out, Challenger Approaches. I was thinking, your idea that you had about boss battles. Maybe we could find a way to combine that. Think it through a little bit more. Always brainstorming, trying to keep this fresh for the people listening.
Hot and toasty.
I do like that dynamic, though, that you described going back to Castlevania. The dynamic where you've got like two factions that both kind of have their cadre of advisors, heroes, whatever you want to call them, and you kind of see things from both perspectives and get an idea where they could intersect.
Yeah, it's kind of it's clear that there's a good side and a bad side. It's kind of a shame because if there was some like bad people on the side of the good guys, then it would make it kind of neither side is right or wrong. But I do like the fact that on the bad side, you do still have good people who have been oppressed and are like seeking redemption kind of thing. Because like the poor fucking slave guy, he still, even though he's a general in Dracula's army, he's still like, and he gets to speak with Dracula himself, which some of the council members don't even get to do. He still like flagellates himself, for example, because he's still got those emotions and the torment from
before
his past, which is why he's okay with like basically committing genocide on his own race.
Yeah. There's a lot of that's something. Yeah. It's just
pretty fucked up, but it's also quite interesting.
It's always nice when a story takes the time to explore, like, some things like that.
They're not just like, we hate them because we hate them.
Yeah. There's I'm sorry, I'm thinking of, there's a subplot in the Invincible comic that they do something similar.
Right.
Because I'm at the point now where, and I kind of knew this was going to be a plot in season 2 of the show, the kid has met his dad again. And their interaction like didn't go the way I was so prepared for him to be like self-righteous and just like, oh, how could you do this? I'm going to fight you and take revenge. But they actually took a much more mature approach to it in the comic, which was like they both tense up like they're going to fight, and there's a big serious face, and then the kid just runs over and like just hugs him and starts crying.
Yeah.
And then the dad just has no idea what to do because he wasn't expecting that. He was expecting him to be angry, and they do exchange angry words after that. But it's very clear that they tackle that sort of like emotional dynamic of, he's angry, but this is still the father that he loved. Yeah. And the father has to come to terms with the fact that, he's done all, like he really has become emotionally attached to the tiny life that he had on this planet. Anyway, I could talk about it for a while because I really do like the comics. I don't know if all comics are like this. I assume they're not. I assume most of them are shit. I'm gonna go with my old stereotype, but I'm really enjoying this one.
Yeah.
And I finally have a use for having a tablet wherever I put the tablet.
Oh, what, you're reading the comics on there?
Yeah, I got it for the Kindle. It was a Amazon Prime Day deal. I got it for like half off. So it's the first like 50 issues of the comic or something like that.
Yeah, I do really like reading manga, for example, in the book, like the actual proper book form. But God, it is so fucking expensive.
That's a manga compendium right behind me for a good one. What is it called? It's called Genshiken. That's what it's called.
So, like one Naruto book or whatever, it's like what, 2 or 3 episodes, I think.
Yeah,
which are free online, or you could buy the book, which is like, it's some stupid amount of money, isn't it? It's like, I want to say £18, but it can't be that much.
They're pretty. It depends on what you're talking about, though, because the Oh, hold on. Like that compendium book behind me was, I think, $15, $20, something like that. But it's a combination of the first, like, because that one's been out for a while, so it's like the first 5 volumes or something like that, which when they came out were $10 a piece.
Yeah. You've got to write a story, man. I mean, I know you have written stories in the past, but you gotta fully commit one day.
I know. That's something I've been thinking about lately. One of the best pieces of writing advice.
You've been thinking about it for years.
No. I mean, like lately, while I'm still locked down and have the time, just start writing something again. Specifically going back to the novel that I wrote a good chunk of but never finished. Oh, we're waffling on at this point. Let's call an end.
Let's get to the quiz
segment. And spoiler alert, it is about food. Blue's request.
Yeah, I think I was pretty tired and hungry. I think I was just hungry at that point when Kaiser was like, "What do you want it to be about?" I was like, "Food."
There's a diverse array of food-like questions, but yeah, look forward to that.
Diverse. An ethnically diverse palette.
All right, this is going to be the end of segment 2 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear us again momentarily for segment 3. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We're on segment 3, our wild card, which this week is a quiz. But before we get into the quiz, oh, by the way, hey, look, we're both here. Look at our lovely faces. We are. Look how close these. It's a much more professional thing. Ignore all the crap.
I already forgot that my face was being streamed. So I was doing stupid jazz hands, and I was like,
"You're on camera.
No, people can actually see it now." Yeah.
Yeah. So before we actually get into the quiz, I need to issue a quick correction that Blue insisted that I do from the earlier segment. No, you said that I should have said this, so I'm going to say it. When I was talking about Invincible, I mentioned the main love interest for the main character. They had swapped her personality, and I didn't like the new personality. I was a little bit too soft, and in this interim between the segments, I let my true opinions be known, and I will say them now. That character, they took her from being like, a pretty kind, understanding, like girls next door kind of character, and made her a self-indulgent, narcissistic millennial bitch. Like, she is unsympathetic, she's sarcastic, normally a quality that I like. She's cynical and just completely self-indulgent to the point that if anyone else does anything that she just thinks slights her in the slightest little way, she goes off on them. Like, there's this whole subplot.
You just really get off to narcissism, don't you?
There's just this whole subplot where this like, the main character is completely, like, devastated because she got her feelings hurt that he didn't tell her who she was, even though she figured out who the fuck he was 2 episodes ago and didn't tell him. It's like, oh my god.
Do you feel better now that you got it out?
Yes. I feel better now that I was honest. Like,
okay, good.
I was a little too soft. There are other characters that I feel similar ways about, but she was the one that jumped out at me the most because and honestly, she didn't bother me that much when I saw the series. When I read the comics and saw how much better of a personality she had in the comics, I was like, why did they do this? Anyway,
let's get to the quiz.
Let's get to the quiz.
Already been drinking, and I
noticed that. I saw you do that. So, well, technically, I have 2. I had a beer during segment 1 and 2. Quiz segment is food, and I tried to, which like you said, you probably asked me to do this at a moment of hunger during the podcast, but I tried to keep them food related, so it broadens a little bit. Some of it's like food, nutrition. It's all food related, but you're going to get history questions, you're going to get science questions, you're going to get just general trivia questions, and you're going to get like potentially cooking questions. So are you ready?
I see. I am so ready.
All right, question number 1. What is the difference between a kcal or kilocal and a calorie, capital C? Like what you have. So on food packaging, you'll occasionally see a kcal or you'll see cal, as in calorie.
Right.
What's the difference between those two?
I'm assuming one is like 1,000 calories and one's just straight up calories. Like 1,000 calories and just calories.
There's a reason I specified calorie. There's a reason I specified calorie, capital C. You are technically correct. I'm going to give you a half point on this.
Okay.
The answer is there is no difference. So...
You son of a bitch, that's bullshit.
There is no difference. There's no difference. And the reason is a calorie, capital C, is the colloquialized version. It's the just what a kcal is a calorie. A kcal is calorie lower C, a kilocalorie, and that is the scientific measure. And then... But that's...
Wait, is a kcal 1,000 calories?
It's 1,000 lower C calories.
How's that wrong then?
It's not, but that's why I said you're technically correct. But in this case, because of the question, you are not. Because that's why I specified the capital C one, the proper noun calorie. It's something that confused me for a long time, and I found this out like a couple of years ago because I saw kcal.
So capital C means what?
Like as in calorie, proper noun, capital C, like capital C ALORIE, or kilocal, which is KILO lowercase c calorie. I'm sorry. It's the way. It's stupid, but it's the way it is.
I'll take a half drink.
I will. No.
Hold
on. I will give you full credit though. If this was the bonus question on this, you will get this completely correct. A kilocalorie is a scientific measure. What does it actually denote? Like, what does it mean calories in this? Well, okay, yes, obviously, but in its scientific terms, like for instance, like a newton is a measurement of force. Like velocity.
Right.
So meters per second is a measure of velocity.
So it's I mean, it's a measure of like what goes into it. What do you mean? It's not like mass.
It's fine. This is more of a technical question, and it was something I was wondering if you would be able to guess. I would have accepted a measure of heat, but the technical answer, it is the amount of heat required to raise 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius. But it's a measure of
calorie.
Yeah, calorie. That's the reason, because you eat food and your body processes it and turns it into energy. And so that's why they ended up using calories to represent food.
That's interesting.
Scientific thing, but half credit, so sippy sip.
Sippy sip.
Number 2. Now this one, I think it might have been different in the UK, but I imagine it's similar enough that you can probably either figure it out. But according to the USDA, which is the U.S. Department
of Agriculture?
Yeah.
Do I get a point for that?
No, you don't get a point for that. Fuck off. By the way, you should be keeping track of points, because I've got the... I'm reading the
How many
question.
points did I get for the first one, then?
You get 1 half. We each have a half.
Okay.
According to the USDA, name the 5 food groups.
The 5 food groups?
Yep.
Okay, so meats, so protein.
Yep.
Do we need any other?
I mean, come on, probably not. But let's go.
Wheat and flour and that kind of stuff.
Yep. Grains.
Legume, or vegetables.
Vegetables. Yep, that's one.
Milk is part of protein. No, dairy.
Yep, that's number
cheese and
4.
stuff.
You've got one more.
Okay. Fuck. My primary school teachers would be so disappointed in me.
You're so close.
So we've had... it's like pasta, carbs, carbohydrates.
No, you already got that. Flours and grains is all into
fuck.
the same thing. 10 seconds.
Oh, is it like the smallest one? Is it like salt and stuff?
Nope, that's not actually a category. They added that one later.
Bullshit. It's like
Got 5 seconds.
Sweets, sugar.
Nope. You're missing I'll give you a hint. It's a plant. You already said vegetables.
Eggplant.
No, you already said vegetables. What's the other thing besides vegetables?
Mushrooms.
No, come on. All right,
fruit.
you're out of time. It is fruit. It is fruit. I'll give it to you. It is fruit.
Okay, thank you.
The 5 original food groups were grains, proteins or meats, dairy, fruit, vegetable. And at one point there was
that question 2 or 3?
2.
Okay, cool.
So you're at 1.5. But yeah, when I was looking this up, I was trying to find what they called them in the UK, but I could only find the US data. But apparently back in the 60s, the US had like 7 food groups. And they split like vegetables.
Didn't I mention 7?
No, you mentioned a bunch of other random stuff but they were all kind of in the same group. Like you said flour and wheat and stuff, and
what about oils?
Then you later came back to grains. Oils actually, when there were 7 of them, oils were their own separate food group. Oils and fats.
And was sugar one?
Sugar was never one.
Damn. I campaigned for the rights of sugar.
All right, you're at 1.5. I'm at a half.
Hell yeah.
Next question. This is a bit of a historical question with a food element. Why are some South and Central American regimes or countries referred to as banana republics?
Because this is particularly southern states, right?
No. South America and Central America.
Yeah.
Like the continents,
Okay,
not
yeah.
the country.
I mean, they were big on the whole slave trade and banana plantations.
You're close. It has nothing to do with slavery.
Oh. I mean, yeah, they had tons of banana plantations because it was like the right climate, I'm guessing.
They did,
there's a lot of
but
jungle.
why were they signaled out as banana republics?
I'm guessing they made a fuck ton of money. Maybe balloons was popular over there.
You're close.
I'm assuming, yeah, they made money off of it because it was like the easiest thing to grow. Trade from the Congo.
You're okay. You're beating around it, and I'm gonna give you. We'll call it a half point.
I'm beating around the banana.
You're beating around the banana. We'll call it a half point because
okay.
The reason that they're called banana republics is giant North American, specifically U.S. fruit companies, found that they could make massive profits by buying up a ton of land in the relatively corrupt areas in these countries, and just they made so much money from bananas alone, the countries and the companies, that these companies were essentially able to just buy off entire governments. And the governments were completely subservient to these U.S. fruit corporations because they were the entire industry of the country. Yeah. So a banana republic now is sort of a colloquialism for a country that is dependent on one resource and one resource only, or like one industry.
Gotcha, that's what makes all the money, I see.
So we'll call it a half point.
Sippy sip.
All right, question 4.
Hit me.
What is the biggest crop in the U.S.? Not like the crop is the biggest, but the thing that the plant that we make the most of, the food plant that we make the most of. Bonus points if you can name the top 2.
Banana.
It's definitely not a banana.
Sorry, crops.
Yeah.
Is it going to be something really boring like wheat? Because bread is so fucking diverse. Is that a clue, or is it just being weird?
I'm just making weird faces at you.
Okay. Crop. So okay. Okay. Can I get a clue whether it's a vegetable or a fruit?
Say vegetable.
Corn.
Correct. Corn is our biggest crop. And now, any guesses for the bonus point on what the second one is?
Tomatoes?
No. Second place is soybeans. That should grow really well in our climate, yeah. Yeah, corn is like the entire middle half of the country. Like my mother's home state of Iowa is like 90% corn. Like it's...
Yeah, I was just I thought back to those, old cheesy movies with like, I don't know, they're always running through cornfields, so I was like, maybe they got a lot of corn in America.
They do. You drive across the Midwest and it's like just cornfields forever. So you got that one.
Corny.
Give yourself a point.
Nice. Up to 3. Damn, I am fucking rocking it. 4 questions, 3 correct answers.
You get 2 half points.
Yeah, so 3 correct answers.
What is, according to YouGov, the most popular...
Sorry, according to me, and you're calling me governor.
Gosh. According to YouGov, what as of 2021, what is the most popular food in the UK? And I'll give you a hint. It's tied for first place. So there's 2 things that could be right.
Food in the UK.
Yeah, bonus point if you can get both of them, but you just need to name one of them. They're tied.
Is this like a raw material, or is it like a...
It's like a meal of some kind. Not like an elaborate meal, like a Sunday dinner or something like that, but like a food type. So, like, for example, fried chicken. That's not... I'll give you a hint. That's not what it is in the UK. It's not fried chicken.
Okay. So, across the whole of the UK?
Whole of the UK, the most popular food. And there are 2 things tied for first place. 1 point if you can get one of them. Bonus point if you can get them both.
Okay. And they're not including drinks.
No drinks. It's all food stuff.
If it was like a meal, I would say like probably a curry. Because they're very popular. But just for a particular thing, I don't know. I imagine it would be some kind of... I mean, okay, if it was a meal, it would be like a stew, probably, because everyone can make stews. I don't know. Like a burger?
Is that your answer?
Because there's so many I mean, I know that's the wrong answer, but it's as good as I'm going to get.
So, that is wrong. The 2 most popular foods in the UK... I actually have the top 3 written down. Tied for first place are just chips. Like, chips.
I was going to say fish and chips if it was a meal, but then I was like, well, that's very English. And
fish and chips was 3rd place. So, Tied.
Really? So is it chips, fish, and then fish and chips?
No. No, the top 3 in order are roast chicken, chips, and then fish and chips.
Chicken, chips, fish and chips. Okay. I mean, with the curry, chicken.
Yeah, but it's the list I looked at specified roast chicken.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. Roast chicken.
So that's a point from me.
I guess I should. Yeah, chips. I should have really known. I was like I said, I was trying to stay away from fish and chips because I thought it was too English, and this is including like Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. So I was trying like I said, broth or soup is kind of a lot more common. Like across
I honestly was kind of surprised by the roast chicken. I wasn't expecting that one. I don't know.
Really?
I didn't know. I
just love our white meats over here.
Yeah, well, roasted chicken specifically. I mean, I would expect like fried chicken to be up there in the U.S. because like everyone eats that here. It's fucking delicious.
Well, like a Sunday roast is a big part of the culture over here. So, that tends to be roast chicken.
That's the thing. That might be why it's so high up there, is because like of the whole idea of a Sunday roast. Anyway, question.
It's cheaper than the other meats. Anyway, yes. Wait, so I got nothing for that.
Question 6. And I thought this appropriate. I did another most popular. The most popular cheese in the U.S. And
in the U.S.
In the U.S. And now I will specify, the way they determined this was by the weight consumed per person over the course of a year. So, in an entire year per capita in the U.S., the top, and I'll even give you the weight. This cheese was consumed. No, it was 11.5 pounds per person across the entire year of 2012.
Can I get that in kilos?
In kilos, it's like 4-ish, around 4 kilos.
4 kilos per year, did you say?
Per year per person.
Okay.
Am I getting that right? Kilos, 11 pounds per person.
Yeah, I think that sounds.
It's pretty close. I'm a lot better with the whole Fahrenheit Celsius conversion. I'm not that good with kilos to pounds. But it's a type of cheese, and 11.5 pounds per person was consumed in 1 year in the U.S., and that's how they made this determination.
I'm imagining it's like that shitty plasticky cheese that gets thrown on literally everything.
It's just called American cheese.
Is that what that's called?
It's called American cheese, yeah. This could be like, it could be American, it could be cheddar, it could be mozzarella, it could be provolone. It's between
American, like, I don't know, Monterey Jack, maybe? Cheddar's obviously, like, world-renowned. But I feel like it's too dry for the American palate. They like a bit more...
I will give you a hint.
Juiciness.
I will give you a hint. The answer surprised me.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
I don't know. I'll listen to the question and I'll decide whether or not I'm going to answer it.
Is it what defines a smelly cheese? So like a blue cheese or a brie?
No.
Soft cheeses. So it's a hard cheese. Okay.
Oh, it's not necessarily hard cheese, but it's not a smelly cheese. I'm not going to talk to you about its density, but I will say that it's not a really smelly cheese.
I don't know. The thing is, with the American cheese, you don't get it in large amounts, but there's a lot of it, like, on everything.
That is true. We do tend to put cheese on everything.
Put it on fucking everything. Like, cheddar's probably the most regular. Like, you get grated cheddar, you can pretty much put grated cheddar on anything. But so it's America, I'm going to say American cheese, even though I'm pretty sure it's wrong.
Yep, it is wrong. So the answer, cheddar was second place, actually. You were pretty close. Cheddar was 9 pounds per person per year. But the top place goes to mozzarella. And you know why I think it's... I think it's because of pizza.
It's fucking pizzas.
Exactly. Pizza's one of the most popular foods over here. And mozzarella, perfect cheese for pizza.
There's a something I got to show you after this. The last project I did for my work, we made me and a group of 3 other people made a website which is actually live, where it's like there's I think 23 different types of pizza, and it's like a versus thing, and you get 10 rounds, and you choose which, and it calculates it in the database and shows you what the top 10 pizzas are based on what people picked.
Oh my god. I went out to a restaurant, little side story, the other day, and made my own pizza. And the pizza I made, it was a white pizza, so like a cheese sauce as opposed to a marinara kind of sauce. Bacon, chicken, banana peppers, garlic, and red onions. It was a fucking amazing pizza.
I've got like a pizza story that always gives people the fucking chills. Back when I was in like college, I was going out with this person, and we would have fish pizza, which had like tuna and like prawns and this kind of. It did not smell good. And it also had garlic on it. It was like the worst smelling pizza ever, but it tasted so fucking good.
I've had a shrimp scampi pizza before, where it's like it's like shrimp and some other
shrimp and
stuff.
prawns.
Yeah. That kind of makes sense to me. The other kinds of fish on there, that does seem a bit weird.
Yeah, it had all kinds of fish. It was really nice, but yeah, it did stink.
All right, what are we sitting with the score right now?
So that was the 6th question. I'm on 3 correct.
Oh my god.
Take a drink.
Tied. Go for it.
Got the proper fancy.
Pinky out.
Yeah.
This is a historical question, but I feel like you could probably guess this even if you don't know the backstory to it. So, Prohibition-era U.S., right?
Oh yeah, fun times.
Before Prohibition had gone through, when they were trying to advocate for it, right? So, when trying to defend beer, specifically, from the Prohibition activists, what did the brewers claim about beer?
They would say it would like improve your eyesight or something. It would do some kind of medical.
They didn't get that specific. I will say.
Didn't get that. That wasn't very specific. It cures ailments, because it gives you that pep to fight through. You look disappointed.
I'm not sure if I will give you half credit or just tell you you're wrong on that one.
Okay.
So I'll give you one more shot, because I will say that you're kind of borderline there. Keep in mind that keep in mind this quiz is about food.
Yeah. It is part of your daily 5 food groups. That it keeps your body healthy and gets you through the day.
I will give
it's like a vitamin.
Still not quite there, but I'll give you half credit. What they claimed was that it is healthy and nutritious, and that it was basically liquid bread.
Yeah, okay, no, I can see that. That makes sense.
So,
I mean, it's bollocks, but it makes sense.
Yeah. They even actually thought they did little campaigns. They thought that babies should sip some beer because it's good for them and everything like that. Like, there were some hilarious cartoon ads where you see a mother like rocking her baby and just giving the baby like a little sip out of a stein and stuff like that.
Who needs breastfeeding when you've got Heinberg?
When you have beer. So yeah, half point on each of those. We're both should be at 3.5. Okay. Yep. Name at least 2 of the top food-producing countries on Earth, and bonus points if you can name all 4.
South America.
That's
because they're like burning down the Amazon. Countries.
Not continents. Countries.
Yeah, sorry. Borneo.
Borneo.
No, I guess not. No, I can't remember the 3 cities. Brazil.
Brazil is one of them.
Brazil. Yeah, sorry. Borneo is a smaller country next to it. Where else are they burning down rainforests? Is that one of the top 2, by the way?
Brazil is number 4. So it's one of the top 4, but Brazil is in 4th place.
China.
China's number 1.
China?
So that's 2 of them. You can go for all 4.
Okay.
There's 2 left.
India?
That's number 2, actually. Well, India's tied technically for the middle 2 places.
And continuing along the same strain, Mother Russia.
No, actually...
We make all the potatoes.
Do you want to... It is not them. I'll let you take one more guess, and then you've gotten 3 so far, so you've at least gotten it correct. You're just going for the bonus point.
If I was going through the countries, then I'd probably say Australia next, but I don't think it is. I think it's going to be something... somewhere... I don't know. Do the Netherlands count as one?
Do they even farm there? Alright, that's it.
They're famous for windmills and stuff.
So, in 3rd place, actually, depending on how you measure things, potentially tied with India, the United States.
Oh, yeah.
We actually...
Wait, hang on, so I couldn't have South America, but I could have the United States? I suppose it's not technically...
There's like a dozen countries in South America. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's so fucking cute. Okay, I guess, yeah, I probably said China. Yeah, whatever.
Oh my god.
I just kind of assume America, North America, and the US are just the same thing in my head.
Oh my god. Alright, so, so India and the US, the one statistic that the US wins in is the US is the most efficient food producer in the world. Like,
yeah.
China is the top...
This was actually in that video I sent you, wasn't it?
Part of it, yeah.
One.
But it's not where I got this answer from. But yeah, I do remember it being mentioned in that. It's one of the things that made me think of this question. So, first of all, I got that wrong. You got that right. No, you got that right. So, but no, the China, to be the top food producer, and it only beats us by a little bit. They have 319 million people working to produce that food. That's close to the entire population of the US. Yeah, so we're able to produce a lot of food very efficiently.
If it's about numbers, China almost always... In the world of top trumps, China is the fucking action man gyrocopter.
Yeah, they've got pretty much everyone beat in volume all the time.
Yeah.
So you get a point. You're at 4.5.
Victor Logan.
So this was a question that I wasn't even sure if I wanted to keep included, because I found out this one actually surprised me.
Question 9, right?
So I will accept there are 2 answers I will accept to this. One is a rumor or that turned out not to be true, and one is the actual answer. So during Lent, right, Catholics are supposed to not eat meat on Fridays.
Yeah.
But they're allowed to eat fish. Why is fish allowed, even though it's also an animal?
Because of Jesus. I couldn't even hold it in as I was saying it. It was so dumb. It's because...
I'm sorry, I'm just...
Oh, fuck.
Because Jesus.
It's... Oh, fuck. I'm not... It's been so long since I've read anything even slightly relating to religious text. Oh, God, what is it about the fish and the bread and the... It's like... Oh, God, I can't say that.
That is, so that's a story in the Bible, you're right. Jesus made...
John the fisherman.
Yep. But that is not specifically the reason.
Okay, there's plenty of fish in the sea.
Gotcha. I'll give you one more hint, and I'll allow you one more guess, and then I'm just gonna say you got it wrong. The false rumor that I will accept is that it has to do with politics and a certain country's ability to source food. And number 2 is it has to do with the way biblical scholars classified animals. It's fine. I almost thought about throwing this question out. So if you even get close, I think I'll give you half credit.
I don't know, but if it has something to do with why everyone has fish and chips on a Friday, I'd be impressed.
I mean, it probably does have a bit to do with that, actually, but that's not one of the answers. I'll just tell you.
Go.
All right. So the thing, and I believed this for a long time, but actually in researching this question, I found out that it's not actually true. One of the rumors that went around for a long time was that the Pope, at the time when this decision was made a deal with the King of Spain because they were heavily dependent on fish to feed their people. Turns out that wasn't actually true. The reason behind it, and the religious reason behind it, was that technically it's not you don't eat animals on Fridays, it's you do not eat the flesh of warm-blooded creatures. Biblical scholars did not define fish as warm-blooded creatures. By science now we know they are warm-blooded, but
most of them.
They defined like lizards and fish and things of the sea and all that, and they were all considered not warm-blooded animals, but the things that walked on the land and stuff they were. So technically, you could eat salamanders during Lent if you wanted to. Anyway, but yeah, that's a point for me.
But I mean, technically, without Jesus,
the bread and the fish story. Yeah. I can see. No, I'm not giving.
I was never going to get this answer correct, by the way.
No, but I have mentioned the whole because I believed it for a long time. I have mentioned the whole making a deal with the Spanish king before. I thought maybe you'd remember it.
Spaniards. Oh God, no! I'd never even heard of that.
So, question 10. Back in years ago, there was
back in Jesus times.
No, it was only it was a decade or two ago.
Okay.
There was a particular liquor that was in danger of not being able to be produced in its purest form because one of the ingredients for it was getting wiped out at a prodigious rate. What is that liquor? And bonus point if you can name the ingredient that could no longer that couldn't be produced.
That's the thing. I'm trying to work out what the ingredient is first, and I think that's gonna.
So liquors and so it's some of the cardinal ones. So I'm talking about whiskey, vodka, gin, tequila, rum. I'll narrow it down. It's one of those 5.
Okay.
Dead air.
Well, sorry, yeah. For all those listeners, I'm deep in thought. So it wouldn't be whiskey because you can basically... No, sorry, it wouldn't be vodka because you can basically make vodka out of anything.
Yeah, so we can safely knock vodka out.
I mean, tequila, what's that made from? I don't even know. I know you put limes in it, but...
But yeah, that's later. That's after it's already tequila.
Yeah, that's already formed. Rum you can basically just make from spices.
Yeah, it's just fermented sugar, pretty much.
Yeah. What else was on the list?
The others...
Whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey.
I'm going to say whiskey.
Whiskey. Do you know what whiskey's made out of?
No. Something in Scotland.
Wheat, barley, rye, all very, very common crops.
Common things, yeah. I don't know what tequila's made out of either, to be fair. Was there something else on the list that I'm missing?
Let me go through. Gin.
Gin. I can't remember what gin's made of. It's kind of the same way the vodka's made, isn't it?
Yep, and then they just add spices and stuff to it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with tequila because I don't know what it's made of.
Going with the Hail Mary. You're right. Tequila is made from the blue agave cactus.
Oh wait, what am I drinking?
Yeah, it's me. The blue agave cactus, they were in Mexico burning out these bats that they thought were pests. but actually these bats are key to pollinating and like crossbreeding the cacti so that they actually have genetic diversity. So several farmers lost entire fields of cacti to disease because they were genetically identical. And so so now there's a huge conservation effort going on in Mexico where they're breeding the bats, and the farmers are letting a certain percentage of their cacti grow until they flower and allow the bats to, pollinate them. So it's coming back now. But for a while, blue agave was, it was on its way out.
Yeah, all that talk of alcohol made me want to drink. Hell yeah, I'm on 5.5.
Tequila's pretty good. I mean, like good tequila.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan. But again,
it's not something that I like too much. But as an occasional drink, it's pretty much the only liquor I can tolerate shooting. Like, I hate shots. Like, I like to have, like, if I have a drink, I like to be a nice drink that I sip on and, enjoy.
If I'm going to have a shot, this is going to sound weird, I want it to be something that tastes freaking awful. Because I don't want to have a shot of something that's nice.
Well, that's the thing. You don't shoot, I wouldn't ever shoot, like, a nice scotch, right?
No. I once had, and this is going to sound really fucking gross, we were at a bar in my local area, and the person I was with was like, give us your cheapest shots. And they gave us a choice of 2, and the person was just like, whatever, just pick one for us. And the bartender put up, like, ultra spicy vodka. And this thing fucking burns. And yeah, it had the taste of vodka, and then it just burnt afterwards.
That's fucking...
It was not good. I would not have more than one of them. Holy shit.
I have another similar story. So, when I went to college, I was one of the first people in my dorm or my group of friends to turn 21. Juan and I actually turned 21 on the exact same day, because we have the same birthday, obviously. So we were the first ones. We only had 2 other people we knew. One was my ex from college, who was older than me, and the other one was one of our roommates. And so when we went out, it was just the 4 of us. I stayed really good friends with my ex afterwards, which I don't know if that sounds weird that she was out with us on the 21st. But later when one of our last friends to turn 21, he was somewhere in the middle of the group, but he turned 21, and so we went out. It was a group of this time it was a group of 7 of us. And one of the girls who had gone out with, Juan and I when we turned 21, she's like, "Oh, let's do a round of shots." And she's like, "Oh, we'll take a round of shots." And they're like, "Okay, yeah. What do you want?" And to this point, they hadn't asked for our IDs yet. Being a college town, they usually do. And it was only when my friend goes, "Oh yeah, you just whatever the cheapest whatever you have is," or like it was the cheapest whiskey or something like that, or cheapest tequila or something like that. And they're like, "Okay, we need to see everyone's ID." Once she said it was, give me the cheapest shit you got, they're like, "Yeah, you don't."
You haven't got jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see some ID. We were all over 21, so it wasn't a problem. But
I think the thing most of the shot stuff that I've drunk has been Sambuca, and I didn't find that too bad.
The funny bit of that story, when we went out on our 21st, just Juan and I, we didn't get carded that night. And you want to know why? Is because we went out to we'd been drinking beforehand, just as just for
breeze.
For funsies. And then we went out to the bar at midnight when we turned 21, and we went to I think it was a fairly nice place that we went to. And they didn't card us because what did we order? Both of us had nicer taste. I ordered a glass of single malt Scotch whiskey on the rocks.
Yeah.
Juan ordered a glass of XO cognac.
Yeah.
Didn't
Not
bother.
Party drinks.
No, they didn't card us at all. They're like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Oh God. Anyway, sorry.
Jeez. Yep.
Off on
Let's
memory
get back.
lane. You've got 5 questions left. What does the score sit at right now?
I'm on 5.5, so I'm at 0.5 ahead.
Okay. So, and I want the scientific answer to this question. Is a tomato a vegetable or a fruit?
Sorry, a what?
Is a tomato a vegetable or a fruit? And I want the scientific answer.
A tomato is end scroll. Oh god. All right. So. It's a fruit.
You're right. Nutritionally, it is considered a vegetable, but scientifically it is a fruit because it has seeds, and it grows out of a flower.
I was trying to think of the reason, because it still goes out of the ground, but it's like a juicy thing,
so
not a...
Yeah, a vegetable is part of the plant, typically, but a fruit is something that grows, like it flowers, and then buds, and then grows, and has seeds inside of it.
Well, bam, that's another point.
We're pretty even on this so far.
You kidding me? You're 4.51, 6.5.
We were even before you got that point. Evenish. Why? This is the question about eggs. Why are eggs in the UK and Europe not refrigerated and less likely to give salmonella than the ones in the US?
Good food standards?
No, we both have food industries. That's not it.
Yeah, but standards.
There's one specific thing that the US does to the eggs that the Europeans and UK people don't.
Probably some kind of pesticide stuff that we're not allowed to spray on. I don't know, when preserving them, I'm guessing. But that wouldn't make a difference with the refrigerating, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know, our cocks are bigger. Sorry, I had to say it.
I just looked over at my recording too. Me slamming my hand down on the desk came through on the mic.
God, no, I want to say something about, like, I don't know, the way that the chickens are treated, I'm assuming, but it must be something after that, because if it's to do with how long they last, then it must be how they're processed.
If that's your final answer, I'll give you half credit for that one, because
that's as good as I'm gonna do.
It's both. In the UK and Europe, you guys don't so in the US we don't put vaccines in our livestock, at least not in our chickens, and the eggs are washed when they come out, which removes a protective membrane layer. Which means that if they had any kind of salmonella or anything inside them, it's only going to be removed by cooking, and you don't want to have it accelerated by refrigerating them. In the UK and Europe, they keep that protective membrane layer, and you guys vaccinate your chickens against salmonella. So you do treat the birds themselves, but then on top of that, there's the washing was introduced because they thought it was more sanitary in the US, and now it's in law, so they can't get rid of it.
Right.
If they left that protective membrane on the egg, it actually is better for it because it acts as an antibiotic.
I see. Well,
so half credit. All right. Here's a fun little cooking tidbit.
Yep.
What are the ingredients used to make pasta? Specifically to make any kind of pasta.
To make pasta?
To make pasta. I'll give you a hint. There's 3 ingredients.
Wheat.
That's one.
What would the bonding agent be? Some kind of it's not milk, is it?
It's not milk.
No, it's not milk. Some like soy shit.
It's not soy. Because remember, pasta was around before soy was introduced to Europe.
True. Egg.
Egg, that's correct. One more ingredient.
Although not all pasta is made with it. Like, pastas are made from different things.
So the ingredient that changes is the first one. So it can be flour, it can be wheat, it can be grains, it can be a bunch of different stuff. But it's...
Well, I think, like, noodles, for example, are made in a completely different way.
They are, but I'm specifically talking about pasta. When I say pasta, I mean the sort of shit that you get out of Italy.
Yeah, so grain, egg, and...
Last one's very simple.
I mean, flour is green.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's in the first one.
Even though they use it multiple times, I think. Is it that simple?
I don't know. You got the guess. Let's go for it.
Licorice. I don't know.
Licorice? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know.
Do you not have any guess?
Water.
No. Salt.
Fuck. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just salt. It's eggs.
I mean, salt goes into everything, I should just guess, I guess.
Yeah, eggs, some kind of grain, and then salt. That's all it is. That's how you make your pasta. That's you, though.
Yeah, so that was no point for that, or?
Yeah, no point for that. I get a point for that. I've been lenient on other ones. I'm not going to be lenient for that one. Okay.
Okay.
So we talked about the hamburger earlier, right?
Did we?
Oh, we did. You mentioned it. You thought it was a popular food in the UK.
Oh yeah, but it was wrong.
It was wrong. You're right. You're right about being wrong.
Thank you. Do I get a point for that?
What is the origin? What is the origin? Like, where did it originate?
Oranges.
The hamburger.
Oh, well, you know, it was Sun Tzu famously said, he went to that foreign land and he went, there was this meat in a bun, and it was the size of a tangerine.
God damn it. God damn it.
It's in The Art of War, famous quote.
I've read the art. I read The Art of War when I was 13. It's a good book, damn it.
So, the origin of the hamburger.
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah.
Are
will
you asking where it was?
I will accept the geographical location or the original method that brought it about.
I feel like it's one of these trick questions, like everyone's like, pizzas were made originally in Italy, when they're actually kind of the modern anticipation of a pizza is kind of made in America.
It's not a trick question. I'm talking about like old world. It was not in the U.S. It was somewhere, old world that it came from. I will give you that hint. Not a trick question.
Go, I don't know, Rome, Gaul. They'd put pieces of meat between bread. Counts as a hamburger. Or are we talking like even probably further back than that, to be honest?
You know what? Like I said only one hint, but I'll give you another one. You're too far back.
Romans didn't have sandwich in a bun?
No. Not sandwich in a bun. Specifically hamburgers. Like ground meat, patted down, cooked.
Ground meat,
and
okay.
Then...
So like industrial-esque era. Maybe. Blighty old England.
No.
Probably not correct, but we ruled most of the world, so fuck you.
I will, yeah.
No, wait, it's gonna be... no.
What? Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say something crazy like Turkey.
No. You're actually closer with Turkey than you are with England.
Yes.
Hamburg, Germany.
Oh, I should have fucking guessed that.
It was from Hamburg, Germany, and it was because German immigrants from that area came to the U.S. and popularized the Hamburg steak, which eventually became the hamburger. But the bonus point, it originated from the Huns. The Huns used to pack horse meat underneath their saddles, and as they rode throughout the day, it would like pound against the saddle and the horse's back, and it would tenderize it and cook it. And so by the end of the day, they had, this ground, like very tender meat that they could cook, and that was where the Hamburg steak originated from. Anyway,
we call it squashed horse ass meat.
That's you.
Was that question 14 or 15?
15. You got one more left.
Oh my god,
and this one should be fairly close to home.
We're both on 7.
So, chips versus fries. The ever-present debate. So, of the Anglican remains of the British Empire, of the English-speaking Commonwealth, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
How many of the former Empire and Commonwealth countries, specifically the English-speaking ones, use the word chips, and how many use the word fries? And I made the answer a little bit easier because I kind of you don't have to count the number of countries or anything like that. Is it more than half or less than half that use the word chips?
I'm gonna say it's just come down to a 50-50 question who wins this.
It really is. It's a 50-50 question. If it helps, I can name the countries.
No.
Okay.
It's not going to help. I'm pretty sure most people in the world call them fries.
Final answer?
They also love going on the wrong side of the road in Europe, so...
No. I'm talking about... not talking countries in the world. I'm talking about specifically former British colonies.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna... Oh.
There's only 7 of them that are on this list.
I'm gonna say... people said fries more.
You are wrong.
Fuck.
Of the former British colonies, the countries being, by the way, New Zealand, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, the UK, Ireland, the US, and Canada. Only the US and Canada use fries primarily. The Australians are kind of a hybrid, but they still mostly use chips. And so...
Well, at least that... I may have lost the quiz, but I've won in the chips.
So... Of those... Oh, I kind of already gave it away in the thing. I had a bonus question there. Actually, fuck it. Bonus question. Maybe you didn't hear me properly. Maybe you did. How many exact numbers? There's 7 total. What? You.
2 countries say fries, 5 say chips.
God damn it, you did actually hear me. Whatever. I'll finish what I have, you finish what you have. Well, GG.
Yep, cheers. Got a tiny bit left.
That was, what did you think of that quiz?
That was good.
I tried...
I could feel a lot of history questions, though.
I know. They always end up creeping in there because it's what I know.
That's fine. My quizzes always have random fucking questions, which just pop into my head, so it's understandable.
I tried to keep it all food related, though, and even the history questions, I tried to keep them things that you could probably guess, even if you didn't have the knowledge.
Yeah, they were a really good quiz.
What was the?
It was a really fucking long quiz.
Well, we took a few side trips in there,
especially in the alcohol ones.
Oh yeah. Oh, God. Well, all right.
Oh, yeah, GG.
I think that's going to have to be the end. We actually did, I think, go a little bit long there.
Yeah, a little bit. 55 minutes.
Wait, was it really that long?
Yeah, I just checked.
Jesus Christ, I did not realize it was... All right, God, this is going to be the end of episode 48 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening to this extremely long episode. Jesus, we're getting more and more long-winded by the day. But yeah, hopefully you'll tune in again soon.
Have an awesome week, and chips are best.